Are we ready? Well, good morning again. Um, Today I'm doing something a little different for my video. Um, I'm talking about a hard subject for me. Um, Talking about how it was to grow up in a home when you always had to be um, aware of a presence that could harm you when that presence was supposed to be the one person you looked up to in your life to protect you. And yeah, someone you could lean on. It was my dad, my adopted dad. Um, his name was Dale Heller, is Dale Heller. He's married to Rosemary Weaver. They're both from Pennsylvania. Then they moved to Georgia. But a little backstory, I was adopted by them when I was, well, 7, 8, something like that. I forget what year it was I got adopted, but I was 5 when I went to live with them. And then they adopted me several years later. Me and my sister, and and then one of my brothers. We're all half brother and sisters. So our life started out rocky. And so, yeah, coming into this situation just wasn't much of a change. But yeah, um, they adopted 6 children in all, 2 girls, 4 boys. If you don't know, my name is Joanna. This is my daughter, Kaylee. She's supposed to be taking a nap. My son Randall's over there. He's watching his movies. And Eli, he is out in the, Eli J. I'm married to Eli J. Stoltzfus. He's out in the woods hunting. So we're at the hunting cabin for part of this week. And that's why everything looks different. We're several hours from home. But yeah, I'm just gonna speak on growing up, and not sure how to start, where to start, but I think I'm going to start when I was a schoolgirl. My older sister, who would have been their biological daughter, moved away from home. I think that was the biggest thing that I remember. Left the biggest impact on my little brain. I was still a small girl, not even a teenager yet. My older sister, one day, she shut herself up in her bedroom and wouldn't come out. We all knew she was packing her things to move to Pennsylvania. We were in Georgia. We didn't know why. We children had no clue why she was moving to Pennsylvania. Didn't make sense. But yeah, she was moving out, and my sister Leah and I, mother told us that we're the girls now, we're her helpers now, and we need to let Susanna go. Just a minute, Eli's calling me. So yeah, my sister, she locked herself up in her bedroom and packed all her things. Several days later, she was headed to Pennsylvania to live with the bishop and his wife and their family. They had a bunch of girls. And yeah, we little girls who were under the age of 10 had to grow up, mother said, and learn how to do things around the house, which is fine. But I just remember how mother just made that announcement that we're going to need to grow up and take Susanna's place. She had a mother and daddy. They did a lot of foster care, so they always had a lot of children around the house. So yeah, that's what she meant. We'd have things to do. We had to help her because she had so many babies. But yeah, and then it came time for me to go to school. Life was really good, pretty good. Life was pretty good when I was younger in school. But then I started getting older. I turned 13. But as I got older, I'd say maybe 3rd, 4th grade is when I started realizing our family is a little different than the other children's families I go to school and church with. Since we're in Georgia, we learn to know everybody because small community. You don't have very many Mennonites. We were Mennonite, and we all lived together in one community. We went to the same church together. We went to the same school together. A lot of us lived in the same neighborhood along the same road. So, yeah, we knew each other really well. But I was probably like third, fourth grade when I started to realize that our family's a little different. Daddy and mother, number one, they don't get along like a lot of the other peers that I went to school with. Their parents got along. From what it looked like, their parents got along. You never know what happens behind closed doors. But nobody seemed, not very many of them, seemed as troubled as our family seemed. Daddy and mother had a lot of issues with the ministry. Daddy would talk crap about the ministry. And it all kind of started from there, is when I started to, as I got older, is when I started to realize our family's different. And didn't really pinpoint what it was. I wasn't allowed to speak with my sister Susanna unless I told, well, yeah, I was allowed to speak with her, but I needed to tell Daddy and mother everything we talked about. And any letter that Susanna gave to us, Daddy wanted to read. I wondered what could be so awful with my older sister who had left home several years ago, because she seemed pretty nice to me. I couldn't figure it out. But then around the age of 17, I think I was 16, 17. I remember we had prayer meetings Wednesday nights. That's when we go to church and we pray with the congregation that we go to church with. It was after that service. It was evening, so it was dark when we were coming home. I still remember that night clear as day. We were coming home, and Daddy, he was talking to Mother. He was driving in the driver's seat of the van. We had a maxi van. He was so excited. He was talking about how this Arnold that lives down there was willing to take the cows up in the trailer, how we're going to move and get out of here. We're moving to Pennsylvania just as fast as we can pack up. That month when we get home, Mother needs to start packing her stuff to move to Pennsylvania, because we're getting out of here, because Daddy had a problem and an issue with the ministry. But he said that the reason we were moving to Pennsylvania was because he had heat exhaustion and couldn't stand the heat. But that's what he told people. We children, since we were at home, we knew the real reason was because he didn't like the church. He didn't like the things he had to do, change to become a member again. See, his membership was taken. He done something. I forget what he done. Yeah, I can't think what he done. I don't remember what he done. I was little at that time, but he done something, and his membership, they withdrew his membership, and so he didn't want to take accountability for himself and shape up and do what he needed to do to, be part of the church again. So within a week's time, we packed our things, most of our things, and we moved to Pennsylvania. Oh, that was the most terrible week of my life. And to this day, I still call Georgia my home, because I think I didn't have enough time to say goodbye. It was just one of Daddy's thoughtful little whims that he got. And we moved as fast as we could because Daddy was tired of it. And he just wanted a new, fresh start. He wanted new people and all that. So he didn't care about the friends we children had, the relationships Mother had with the women down there that she had known for years that were basically like sisters. None of that mattered to him. So yeah, we just moved away. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm not gonna try to cry on here. I'm just telling you my story because I thought it would be nice if my followers would know a little bit who I am and where I came from. And I don't want a lot of pity. I just want to be able to tell my story, because it seems like every time I try to tell anybody in our church, well, in the church that I would have been part of, they're all like, the only things they can say is, well, that's terrible, or we're praying for you. Nobody really does anything to change the situation. And daddy thinks it's funny, but we'll get into that. But yeah, we moved to Pennsylvania when I was 17, and I was with them, my family, for like 3/4 of a year. And during the time we were up here, we were on a turkey farm in Richfield, Pennsylvania. And I remember how daddy came to me one time and said that, and yes, I remember where I was in the house when my dad came to me, and he was like, "Do you know the reason your older sister Susanna left?" "Whom?" And I said, "No." And he says, "It's because I asked to see her naked." I was by myself in the washroom. Mother was outside, and it was just daddy and I in the house. And I never felt comfortable around daddy because mother would always tell we girls that we needed to, oh my goodness, this is crazy. Mother would always tell we girls growing up that we need to be careful how we conducted ourselves around daddy, because if we did the wrong thing, we would turn him on. Like, number one, we couldn't go to town with him because that would be too long to be by yourself with daddy, without mother. We girls weren't allowed to ride to town with daddy. We weren't allowed to go barefoot in the house because bare feet turned daddy on. Um, yeah, just a bunch of dumb, silly things like that, that I don't get. My husband Eli, now that I'm married, bare feet don't turn my husband on. What else does? Yeah, and I remember one time I was laughing, and I was laughing at something daddy said, and mother mother was like, "You shouldn't laugh so much around daddy. You should be careful how much you laugh around daddy," because she even told me, "I don't steal my husband. You better not steal my husband." My mind couldn't wrap around the thought of me and daddy being a couple, having a family. He was my dad. And my mom was there telling me, "Don't steal my man." All because I laughed at something daddy said. Yeah, I was always a little more jolly than some of my other siblings. I laughed quicker. So yeah, I couldn't laugh. If I smiled or laughed at the meal table, daddy was always like, "Joanna, what are you laughing about? Why is that smile on your face?" Oh, I'm so glad now I have a husband that don't care if I laugh for an hour a day. I can't wrap, still to this day, I can't wrap my head around the thought of my laugh would steal her man. I'm her freaking daughter. But anyway, he told me that he had asked to see my older sister, Susanna Negan. And that's why she moved away from home. Never happened to her. She didn't allow it. She told me later that she left. Her brain was all smushed into weird thinking too. Like, she was also raised by mother to think. Mom. What, honey? Yeah, just wait. Mommy's talking. Just wait. Okay? She was also raised by mother. Mom. What? Are you done? Yes. Okay. Shh, don't wake the baby. She was also raised by Rosemary, our mother, to not go barefoot around the house because that turns daddy on. Think about how she sits, because anything could turn daddy on. This turns daddy on, that turns daddy on, that turns daddy on. Randall, no, careful. I never felt so good after talking to Susanna that day. I talked to my older sister. Like, she was the only person in this whole wide world that actually understood exactly what I was saying. The only one. And yeah, so I was like, why is he telling me this instead of mother? Because I felt uncomfortable being 17, almost 18, talking to him about these things. But it didn't take me long to realize the reason he was telling me this. He told me a little later, he said, the reason I'm telling you this, Joanna, is because you're almost 18 and I'm afraid that I'm going to ask you to take your clothes off for me so I can see you naked. And I just want you to be aware that that is a possibility. And I remember how his head was nodding when he was saying that. It was gross. It was horrible. It was awful. I wanted to slap the crap out of that man. But I didn't. Little old me just left him say it. Now, we don't want to talk about what would happen if he'd say something like that now. But back then, little old me just left him talk. And then, little old me left him say one night, after mother goes to bed, we come downstairs because we need to talk. He let me know it would be about sexual things. And that he told me that mother was, it would be too much for my mother to handle if she would hear things he had to say. So, yeah, I actually went down at night because he was my dad, and I thought I had to listen to him. I thought I had to listen to that man, that crazy man. I thought I had to listen to him. And I was scared not to. I didn't know what he'd do if I'd not listened to him. But I went downstairs and my little sister Leah, who was younger than 18, went downstairs. And he talked to us about sexual things. It was the grossest thing in the whole wide world that I've ever encountered in my entire life. He talked about how it is when a woman and a man get together and have sex, how it feels good, and I don't even know it was gross. It was plain old gross. And I couldn't believe this is my dad, the man that trained me, was talking to me like this and didn't want his wife in on the conversation because it was too much for her. And he told me that, oh my goodness, it's awful. He's ridiculous. But he told me that, he is so afraid that he's going to be dreaming some night and wake up and find himself on my bedroom floor. He was like, what would you do if I did? If that would happen, if you'd get up, awake, and I'd be there laying on your floor, what would you do, Joanna? What would I do? I don't know what I'd do. I was an innocent Mennonite little girl who was supposed to obey every little last detail of every little last rule in the house and the Bible, or I would be going to hell. So I don't know what I would do. I wasn't trained for such things. You're just bringing this on me now just because I'm almost 18. I don't know what I would have done back then. I know what I would have done now. I would have all but killed him now. Yeah, I don't know. I can't understand this. And then another thing I can't understand is how he would expose himself to me and my younger siblings. He would let his junk hang out of his pants when mother wasn't around. Remarkably, miraculously, when mother was around, his barn door would be shut. His thing would be inside. Mother wasn't around. If I was out in my turkey house I had a turkey house that I worked in. And he would come out there to check in on me sometimes, see how the house was going, and see if, like, do I need feed or stuff like that? Do I need, what do you call it? Some kind of liquid that gets dripped into their water. If I need any more of that kind of stuff, he'd come up there and check it. And yeah, he'd be walking around with his junk hanging out of his pants, and I was so nervous. I was so scared. I was horrified. I had never seen such a thing, and I did not want to see it. I never wanted any contact with anything like that until I had a husband. But yeah, my dad was walking around in front of me with his out, and I was angry. I was pissed. I was uncomfortable. I was scared. I was terrified. I was horrified. But thankfully, it wasn't long that stuff happened to me. I soon went to Bible school. Our church has Bible school in the wintertime for its young people. So I was 18. I went to Bible school with the rest of the young people. And it was there that I had an interview with the matron and her husband. The principal matron is what we called them. They were like the top people, like the parents of the Bible school. And yeah, I told them kind of how things were at home, and they knew a little bit of how things were at home because her husband was a bishop, which means he's one of the top people, one of the top leaders in the church. So they knew kind of what was going on in our home, but not to the extent as what we children knew. But I told them a little bit, and they didn't feel comfortable sending me back home. So, oh, thank God I got out of there. From Bible school, I went to live with a very nice young couple. I won't put their names on here because they were so kind to me. So I don't want to expose who they were, and I know they don't want to be on the internet. So I'm going to respect that for them because they deserve that respect because of all the good they did for me in my life. But I went to live with them and their children for several years, I think 5 years. But my younger siblings were still left at home with that man and his wife. It was awful. The church knew what was going on. Some of you are saying, well, why didn't the church take you all out? Well, recently when I was thinking about putting this on YouTube, I was like, I wonder why people are going to wonder, like, why didn't our church do something? Like, so I called someone up, one of the ministry up, was like, hey, why didn't y'all do anything? Y'all knew what was going on. Why didn't you do anything? Why didn't you call the law? Why didn't you call the cops? Why didn't you get us out of there? You knew we were threatened. You knew all this stuff. Why didn't you do something? He told me that, well, how could we believe you? Was number one. How could we believe you? Well, how could you believe me? It wasn't just me saying it. All my siblings were saying it. And my older sister, Susanna, was saying it too. You had enough. He said, we didn't have enough evidence to send it to the cops. And he said, also, we don't report these kinds of things. We take care of them within our church. He said it would have been traumatic for us to call the cops and the cops take you out of your home. That would have been traumatic. You might have gone to live with a drunkard, he said. I don't get that either. I respect that man very much from the bottom of my heart. But, oh my goodness. It was more traumatic for us to stay in a home where we always had to have our head on a swivel, looking for daddy, daddy. Make sure he doesn't creep up behind me and grab me and haul me off somewhere, And always worried that I'm not sitting right, or always worried that something's showing, some kind of skin is showing that's going to turn daddy on. Oh my goodness. That was more traumatic to me than to have to be taken away from our home. I always wanted to call the cops on Daddy. Always wanted. Ever since I was a little girl, I just wanted to sit down and talk to the cops and exactly see what they had to say about it. This is my situation. But I never got that chance until I got married to my wonderful husband. I was so pissed at him. I was so angry. I couldn't sleep one night at 2 o'clock. So I called. And I called the cops. My husband was okay with it. Well, he didn't think they could do anything about it. Now, since it was so late. But I still wanted to tell them. I still had that desire. There we go. I still had that desire. So I called them. They came out during the night. We sat down and 2 state troopers came out. And oh my goodness. That was the best time I think I ever had in my whole life. And I told them everything from A to Z, how things were at home. And well, they didn't think, since Daddy had actually gotten his hands on me, that they could do anything about it, which was fine. At least I had gotten to tell the police just what I wanted to do. But they did tell me to get a restraining order for my children, not let him near them, because he'll do it to them. If he got away with me, my siblings, he's going to do it to them, is what they said. So, yeah. But then a couple days later, I got this call from this cop, and he said, actually, we can get him in jail. I was so elated. Actually, we can. He exposed himself to minors. And I forget, there were a couple things that, and I was so excited. I was going to go to court, get this man in jail, away from my children. I was so worried because I had Randall. I didn't want him anywhere near Randall by himself or anything like that. Because I was more worried for my son than I was for my own self when I was growing up. So, yeah, I was so happy that I could actually get him in jail. And I called up this couple that I had lived with for several years and told them I can get Dale in jail, and I'm so excited. Dale, jail, even mine. They're meant for each other, Dale and jail. But they said, Joanna, you need to forgive and move on. I respected them because of all the good they had done in my life. And you know what? I let him go. Mom. I dropped all the charges. And then about a year ago, almost a year ago, I had Kaylee. It's been 11 months now since she was born. I had Kaylee. And for Randall, Daddy left Mother come help me. Like when he was born, he left her come, and she was my baby maid. For Kaylee, he had all kinds of excuses. That was after I had called the cops. I never told him that I called the cops. Up until then, I had never told him that I called the cops on him. Didn't know if anybody did or not. Just knew that we lost communication with them, that they wouldn't come visit us anymore, stuff like that. I still talk to Mother, but they don't come visit us and all that stuff. But, he had all kinds of excuses of why Mother couldn't come, which was all good and fine. I mean, one time is okay. Like, things come up, I don't care. But then I broke my leg. Mom. This summer, I had broken my leg, and he was like, no. He was telling people, like, no, she can't come. Mother can't come. I need her to strap loads down for me. He runs a semi truck. He has some kind of load business he drives. He works for somebody. I don't know what he does, but someone semi, strapping down loads. That's what he does. Driving across the country in a semi. And he needs Mother to help him strap his loads down, is what he tells people. So I decided I'm just going to be brave, call him up, ask him what the deal is, or why can't Mother ever come, because I was in a pinch, a real pinch, a bigger pinch than I've ever been in my life. So, I called him up and I was like, I need Mother. Why can't I have her? Like, what do you have against me? And he was like, Joanna, you almost got me in jail. I was like, oh my goodness, somebody must have told him. I didn't care. He knew. I was happy. He knew. I was proud. He knew. But can you believe this man who supposedly trained me to forgive everything and move on, that I won't get to heaven if I don't move on from people that hurt you, is telling me he's not coming to my house and dropping my mom off because he has a grudge. He's not as good as he thought he is he? Oh my goodness. Oh, I can hardly believe it's the same man. Joanna, you almost got me in jail. That was the best sentence he ever said to me in my entire life. Oh my goodness. To this day, to this very exact day, I think that's the funniest sentence he ever said. But I was like, but you did all those things. He said, Joanna, you're lying. Oh my goodness. I was like, now we're going down this road. I said, he knows I'm not lying. He said, Joanna, when you moved away, you told so many lies about me. And he knows he's not lying. He knows, how can I lie? Like, all my siblings agree with me. And they were there. They saw it. My older sister, she grew up the same as me. She had the same struggles. She was taught by mother to not do this, not do that, because that turns daddy on, to always keep her head on a swivel. And yeah, when you're at home, you're supposed to be comfortable. You're supposed to be able to talk to your parents about anything and everything. And you're not supposed to be scared that your dad is going to come up behind you and grab you and do with you things he knows he's not supposed to do. No, you're supposed to be relaxed. Your dad is your anchor, your rock, your stronghold. That's who your dad is supposed to be. Not this predator that could grab you at any time, or that might wake up on your bedroom floor, or wonder what you're going to do if you wake up and find him there. But anyway, yeah, he says, Johnny, you almost got me in jail. And I forget what I said. But I let him know that I had dropped the charges. That it wasn't like they didn't have anything to put him in jail for. I dropped the charges because this couple had told me to forgive him, and I decided to forgive him. Ooh, I think he got more worried because he realized that it wasn't that they didn't have anything to put him in jail for. It was that I decided to forgive him, move on. And then the worst thing of it all came. He laughed. He says he laughed. He laughed. He laughed. He laughed and said, Joanna, you have no evidence. I have no evidence. Oh my goodness. I think I'll let the Lord deal with him. He laughed. All those things he did to me, the terror I had growing up. And he laughs about it. He laughed. Can you believe he laughed? He laughed at his daughter. So I decided, instead of putting charges back on him, I'm going to upload this. I'm going to tell the whole world about this. I'm going to share this Dale Heller online. And I'm going to let everyone know who he is. And he can't interrupt me like he does. He can't interrupt me to say his piece because this is my video. This is my channel. And he can't do anything about it. So if you're watching Dale, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. And I hope you are freaked for the rest of your life. Because you ought to be. And if you're not freaked, you better be free. You're not freaked in this life, you better be freaked for the next life. That's all I got to say for you. And mother, she told me, whenever I got done talking to daddy after he had laughed at me. Mom! What, darling? No! She called me and said, Joanna, I don't think the things daddy said to you, he meant to you. Mom! I think you misunderstood him. To you, you ought to be ashamed of yourself. You ought to take back every word you said to me that day and swallow it. You better watch your man. Because your man likes other women. He doesn't like you. He likes to control you. He likes his daughters. He asked to see us naked. That's what he asked. He didn't mean it in any other way. Like you told me he did. He meant it that way. He wanted me to strip for him, but I didn't. I got out of there because I wasn't safe. And you ought to be ashamed for protecting an evil man like that instead of protecting your daughters. This is my daughter. This is who I will protect from any predator, even if it means leaving someone I love for the sake of my children. You ought to be ashamed that you kept us in that situation. But yeah, I feel better now that I got to spout. I hope if anybody out there is struggling, wondering what to do, I'd say that tell someone in the authority, maybe not your church people. My church people didn't help. They don't get into that kind of thing, they say. They'd rather just let it go and deal with it themselves. No, tell like the police, get the predator in jail. Tell someone in authority that can really help the situation, not someone who could just sympathize, but someone in authority that can help you. Mom. And yeah. But from here going forward, I'm going to just put my focus on my family, my husband, and my son and my daughter, Rando and Kaylee. I'm married to a wonderful man. I can actually go barefoot in the house. I don't have to worry about the way I sit. I don't have to worry about the way I dress. I don't have to worry about him looking at other women. It doesn't matter if he does. I don't care if he talks to other women because he's my man. And he doesn't get turned on by just any old little thing. I can actually let him go out, have fun. I can, and not be worried about anything. Yeah. It's just, I'm living a different life than what I lived a lifetime ago. My husband is always there for me. He's a good man. He understands me. Why? Yeah, I'm okay. Hi. Mom. And it was my husband who helped me to see that the church that I was a part of did not help me. They did nothing to help me. They left me in that situation. They only sympathized with me. They didn't get me the help that I needed to get over things at home. So yes, my man helped me to see that a good man's not gonna want you because how you dress or how you look. A good man, he taught me, is gonna want me because I'm sweet. I'm sweet and kind. And I'm caring. Those were the things that he said attracted him to me. It wasn't my looks. Oh, that was so nice to hear. So there are some good men out there. So yes, I just want to say that if you have a good man, hang on to him. Be kind to him. Do nice things with and for him. Teach your daughters to love their daddies. To want to go out with their daddies. Do dates with their daddies. Just be a daddy's girl. She already is. She loves her daddy. And nobody can take that away from her. I won't let anybody take it from her. I just want to see her grow up. I just want to see her grow up and come to her daddy for anything she wants to come to him for. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna close out now. I'm just gonna go get myself a drink, get some fresh air, and try to put this behind me now. Um, I hope you all have a great day, great rest of your week. I really hope Eli gets a deer because we need the meat so bad. He just called me a little bit ago and he said that he had hit a big buck, but it was a little high. So the shot was a little high. So he was gonna trail it, see if he got anything, but he doesn't think he got it. I hope he did, but we'll see. But yeah, I just yeah, hope the best for you in your life. And yeah, let's just keep on all just working towards our dreams. Yeah, and I just hope you all have a great rest of your week, and I'll see you again in a few days.